Birdsong, the gentle caress of sunlight on the treetops, and the faint aroma of dew all heralded the start of the early morning in Arkansas. Rocking her child in a supple wooden chair her father had made years ago, Jana Duggar sat quietly in the nursery, her spirit at peace in an otherwise chaotic world. Eden Grace, a small girl, was born into this world only 4 weeks ago. Eden, which came into being through a series of prayers, had long stood as a metaphor for redemption, healing, and the value of all things mild and holy. Jana intentionally avoided the customary media circus that accompanied the Duggar family's visit. She had patiently watched her siblings grow up, her sisters get married, and her nieces and nephews proliferate like spring flowers for years, and now it was her turn. It broke at that point. Sec. 2. The unfathomable. Jana was startled awake at about 2:37 in the morning. Waterfalls and wildflowers had been populating her dreams, but an unsettling silence had broken through to her unconscious. Just a quiet murmur. Absent little gasps. Unmoved, Eden lay in her cradle. Jana remained silent. She remained upright. She walked with the grace of a mother, her every motion guided by innate understanding. As she took her daughter into her arms, she could feel her body temperature dropping. Far too chilly. She yelled out to her husband Wissmann, "Jim," as her anxiety washed over her. Warm cloths, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and fervent prayers were all exhausted before the ambulance arrived. As he pleaded with God, clutching Eden's lifeless fingers, Jim's voice broke. No promises were made when the paramedics rescued Eden. They were just swift. Hospital of Hope and Heartbreak is the title of Chapter 3. At the Mercy Hospital in Fayetteville, the conflict between hope and hopelessness became a battleground. The machines made a beeping sound. In the dim light of the fluorescent lamp, the nurses moved around like ghosts. Within a few minutes, Eden was on an intubation. She had stopped breathing, and the doctor, who was kind-eyed but exhausted, said that it was possible that she had a cardiac issue that had not been identified. Unreadable was the expression on Jana's face. There was not a lack of feeling on her part. Rather, she felt an excessive amount. With his knuckles injured from punching the wall, Jim paced outside the intensive care unit. Since the moment she was born, he had held Eden each and every night. The swirl on her left ear and the way her feet curled up when she sneezed were also things that he had committed to memory. Not yet was he prepared to let go. He repeatedly muttered she was fine, over and over again. She appeared to be in good health. The family rushes in. Chapter 4 of the book. Upon hearing the news, the Duggar family quickly organized themselves into a little army. The first person to arrive was Jessa, who was 7 months pregnant and had red eyes from the commute. She embraced Jana and murmured some psalms to her. Jill brought snacks that were not consumed by anyone. Johannah, accompanied by her husband Austin, arrived and made an effort to be the one who was strong. But when she saw Eden, she broke down in tears. Within the span of a few hours, Michelle and Jim Bob became present. Michelle mumbled her sorrow to Jana as she sobbed into her shoulder and expressed her sorrow. Jim Bob, who was typically unmoved by distress, prayed loudly in the corner, commanding healing like a preacher who was on fire. His response was, "Not this baby. You are not our Eden." 5th chapter. The storm in the media. Even though they had made every effort to conceal the fact that Eden had been born, word eventually got out, as it often does with the Duggars. Jana Duggar's newborn critical, "Duggar tragedy?" was the headline that flashed across the screens of TMZ and other internet tabloids within a matter of hours. The Wissmann family is heartbroken over the birth of baby Eden. Pray for baby Duggar, who is now in the hospital. The social media platforms were swamped with prayers from fans, while critics stirred the boil by asking questions about the decision to give birth at home and the absence of prenatal care. It was all overlooked by Jana. The only thing that she was able to concentrate on was Eden's little chest, which was now mechanically rising and falling. Her phone was buzzing continually. It seemed as though every breath was a miracle. Every single beep is a privilege. Between the two worlds, which is chapter 6, time became hazy. Her vital signs continued to fluctuate like a flame that was blown by the wind, and Eden remained in serious condition. There is a possibility that the patient was born with a rare congenital heart defect. It was a dangerous procedure, especially for a newborn of such a little size. The decisions that Jana and Jim were forced to make were impossible. They sobbed together while holding each other. Over the body of Eden, they sung hymns. It was their hope that their voices would lead her back to safety, that they whispered stories into her ears. The evenings were the most difficult. Jim would sit with his head down, and Jana would grasp Eden's swaddle cloth as if it were the only thing that was keeping her together. At one point, she uttered the words, "Perhaps God is putting us through a test." The words, "maybe he's just cruel," were spoken by Jim, who then promptly expressed his regret. Chapter 7. The light flickers. On the seventh day, Eden opened her eyes. It lasted only seconds, but it was enough. Jana gasped. Jim fell to his knees. The nurse called the doctor, who came running. It wasn't false hope, it was something. Tests were redone. New doctors consulted. A pediatric heart specialist from Little Rock was flown in. He said the same thing the others feared. "We need to operate." But she might not survive the surgery. The room went silent again. Chapter 8. A decision in faith. On the morning of the 10th day, Jana sat in the hospital chapel. She looked up at the stained glass of an angel holding a baby and whispered, "If I lose her, God, I'll still love you. But please don't ask me to." Jim joined her moments later, his eyes rimmed with red. "I want to fight for her," he said. "Even if it breaks us." They signed the papers. The surgery was scheduled for 4 p.m. Chapter 9. Heaven holds its breath. As Eden was wheeled away, Jana kissed her forehead. "If I could take your place, I would," she whispered. "I'd do it 1,000 times." The next hours passed like centuries. The family waited in silence. Michelle clutched rosary beads. Jinger facetimed from LA, crying softly. The boys paced. No one ate. The surgeon came out at 9:22 p.m., his scrub stained, eyes tired. "It's not over," he said. But she made it through. The room erupted into tears. Chapter 10. The long road ahead. Eden remained in NICU, still weak, but alive. She would need weeks, maybe months, of care. There could be long-term complications. Nothing was guaranteed. But her tiny fingers curled around Jim's thumb again. She blinked when Jana sang lullabies. And once, just once, she smiled. It was enough. Epilogue. The lesson in the storm. Weeks later, Jana wrote on Instagram, "I never imagined I'd be the one asking for prayers. I've always been the strong one, the helper, the planner, the fixer. But nothing could prepare me for almost losing my child. Eden is teaching me that faith isn't about never being afraid, it's about holding on anyway. Thank you to every single person who prayed for her. Our miracle is still fighting, and she's not done yet." Jim added in his own quiet way, "I named her Eden because I believed in a new beginning. I didn't know she'd have to fight for it so soon. But she's here. And she's ours."